So I was inspired, per se, by a fellow commentator. His name is BK Kniford. He does these videos like daily or around daily, in which like he just talks about the gospel and such. Now I've engaged with him a couple times in his comments. I love the guy. He's my favorite person on this internet. I swear to God. But I'm not biblical. Um, I cracked it open a few times, as with the Quran and such, but that's not the case. He does these formats in which he does like the titles, like on something, and I wanted to talk about like incels for this episode. Um, Next episode, I'll probably talk about something a little more serious, but like so there was a premise by Friedrich Nietzsche in which he critiques Christianity with master and slave morality, in which how morality is not really objective. There's no objective good. It's more of just power dynamics in which people in power tell people who are weak what is good and what is bad to maintain their power and keep a sense of stagnation. Now, that is certainly an over exaggeration in regards to the fact. But what he talks of is like a common example I like to use is like saying stuff like the money is the root of all evil. That being something that you tell yourself if like you can't get money, like if it's like impossible for you to be rich, like you're old enough, you're still in poverty, you're like, yo, there is no chance for me to be rich. You tell yourself, well, money is the root of all evil anyway, you know? Now, there could be a materialist point of view in regards to that. Alex, you just like to be in the center of attention, huh? But yeah, there could be a materialist view in regards to that thing, but Nietzsche would say that that is um, a conformity to the slave morality. Because deep down, you want money, you want to be rich, but you choose to teach yourself to hate money and to hate being rich, to temper your soul. You know, he talks of the idea of being a free spirit. Of course, Nietzsche is a very complicated guy. There is nothing I could really say that really like encapsulates all of his philosophy. That's something you're gonna have to buy his books and read for yourself. But I feel the same way in regards to incels. You know, hate and love is the same thing. They're two sides of the same coin. You know, they're both passion. And frankly, if like in regards to like people in general, if they don't like you, they don't care about you. They want to sit there screaming at you. There's a part of them that always like that does care about you, that has this passion for you, that has this amount of emotion to you. And so like so that brings me to the premise of incels, in which like they want love, they want intimacy, and they want companionship, but because there's something that they haven't come to terms with or how they approach people, they feel it's impossible for them to get it, so they teach themselves psychologically. Of course it's not like oh fuck it, I'm just gonna start hating women now. It's like it builds, you know, in which it like Nietzsche calls it resentment, but I just call it resentment because that's just easier to say. But it builds this resentment in which like you fuel the fire of something that you want to have, but the world just denies you of that. Now I'm not saying it's justified, but it's more than just like, oh, these internets, you know, these Andrew Tates, these red pillars, they're getting into the mind of young people, you know, and it's more, and it's, you know, to be fair, it's less to do with even that. I mean, sure, it helps, you know, because it builds a community in which like only they're the ones listening, and then it creates this little echo chamber in which like it fuels nothing but more and more hate. But yeah, it's just people want something that they can't have, so they hate it because it's like it has so much power over them, and they hate that. You know, like Nietzsche. Uh, I like to call him the first incel, although he wasn't probably the first incel. There was probably some caveman shaking his fist at the woman taking the muscle man and the cave across the river. You know, I'm sure he was shaking his fist. But Nietzsche was like, he said the most profane shit about women, and no one wanted love more than him, but he just didn't get it. You know, he proposed to the same woman 3 times, got rejected all 3 times, you know, suffered a psychological break. He was just a tragic guy, you know. But yeah, I just think that's what incels really are. You know, I don't think there are these like weak-minded people in which they'll just believe anything, because like the only reason as to why we believe anything in the first place is because we want to believe it in the first place. You know, there's a part of us that already has our mind made up, and we're just waiting for that confirmation. So in regards to that, I don't really know how to fix it. I don't know. I don't think it's anything anybody can fix. You know, even on a societal level. Like in regards to like people saying, "Oh, we need to have these conversations." It's a little more than that. You know, because to a degree they are happening. I mean, like to expect everyone to drop their lives and just have these conversations that really don't really lead anywhere. It's kind of it's kind of selfish to a degree because we all have our issues. You know, a lot of men don't struggle with women. A lot of men do. A lot of women struggle with men, and a lot of women don't. And that's just part of the human condition. It's the beauty of diversity, if you will. But that could also, you know, tie into the idea of like perhaps toxic masculinity, in which it reinforces like the idea that like because they're men they got to deal with it. But I think that's for like another thing. Um, yeah, the internet definitely plays a role, but it's not as big of a role as we think, because incels have existed long. Like I would say incelish behavior has existed when no entered the language. Like it's just into it. It's just ingrained. Um, I don't know. The best thing I could say though is like, I mean, you still shouldn't like, I don't know, like, surely women will look at this video and say, "Oh, does this mean I should start giving incels a chance?" No, no, because really it comes down to how you feel rather than what you should do. Because we should be doing a lot of stuff. You know, we should be donating to charity. We should be helping each other. But truth be told, we're very complicated people. We have our own lives. You know, a lot of people who should be reading the Bible aren't. A lot of people who should be reading the Quran aren't. And really, it's just, you know, just take your time with life. You know, don't feel like you have to change any particular person, because whoever they turn out to be is just who they are. And anyone who ends up changing had it in them to change in the first place. So and when you see an incel on the street shaking his fist at a woman, just understand that he's just not happy with his condition. You know, when a man calls you a bitch on the internet, he's really just projecting like a mean spirited incarnation of rejection or what a woman is. Because a lot of the time, people don't really look at people as people. They look at people as abstractions, as what they represent in their head, as some sort of archetype. And, you know, it's human. I mean, I do it. I, I guess it's unavoidable to a degree, because chasing abstractions is kind of what gives us meaning, you know? But yeah.